Now the details. I hope you have been having a great week. On Friday afternoon at Village Urugwiro, President Paul Kagame received Victoria Kwakwa, the Vice President for Eastern and Southern Africa at the World Bank, one of the largest development partners of Rwanda, with key support in various sectors including infrastructure, agriculture, education, skills development, and social protection, among others. They discussed the exponential growth of electrification across the country and the World Bank plan to prioritize private sector investment and poverty reduction. Now, staying with the World Bank, the Vice President for Eastern and Southern Africa has commended Rwanda's progress in ensuring that communities have good infrastructure for development. She made the comments following her discussions with Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente on Friday. Following the discussions between the two officials, Rwanda's Minister of Finance and Economic Planning explained what had been focused on.
Ibiganiro byibanze ku mubano hagati y'u Rwanda na banki y'isi.
The discussions focused on the bilateral relations between Rwanda and the World Bank and the projects we work on together to do with infrastructure, things like electricity, roads, urbanization efforts in places like Kigali and the secondary cities, but also agriculture and education. The discussions therefore focused on how such projects can continue and even be expanded, with the bank playing a role in regional projects that help countries develop together. A good example is the Rusumo hydroelectric dam that brings together Rwanda, Tanzania and Burundi that will soon be complete. Such projects should be supported because they boost regional cooperation between countries and are in line with the African Continental Free Trade Area that is being built up. The World Bank Vice President had visited projects here in Rwanda, supported by the global body, and commended the progress Rwanda has continued to make.
In the last few days that I've been here, I've just been amazed by what Rwanda has achieved just in the 14 years that I've been away. In several respects, there's been major transformations that have happened. Major transformation in terms of access to energy. Where Rwanda has gone from just 6% access to over 60% access in terms of regular usage of energy, electricity. That makes a huge difference. And very few countries achieve such progress and such success. And as I traveled, I saw it in the fact that even in rural areas, very remote areas such as Burero, I think, you had schools that had electricity and so could help the children use computers. You had health centers that have electricity so that it can keep the vaccine cold chain. They can digitalize all their data, their information, and be more efficient. And you had small businesses that were coming up because people have access to electricity. So that was really heartwarming to see.
She also commented on the agricultural sector and urbanization efforts here in Rwanda.
I also saw impressive work in agriculture, where major improvements in agricultural productivity through investments in irrigation, water resources management, providing inputs and quality input, seeds, fertilizer to farmers, and also bringing a nutritional component to this. And again, this speaks to the possibility of raising agricultural productivity so that it can push growth, and growth that helps even the poorest. And then I also saw some of the urban work that is being done to rehabilitate urban areas and prevent them from becoming slums, but upgrade them to livable places in the urban space. I think we saw this place, and I might get the name wrong, Nyamirambo, and the beautiful work that has been done, very livable, walk up the pathway, the no-car zone, very nice, where people can sit, have a meal. So I come away very impressed with what Rwanda has achieved in a short time.
The World Bank Vice President also pledged support for Rwanda's reconstruction efforts following the natural disasters of May. She also met students at the African Leadership University at Masoro and urged young people to play an active role in solving the problems the continent has continued to face, including the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, moving on to other matters, the Speaker of Rwanda's Parliament, the Honorable Donatille Mukabalisa, has noted that for the Intwaza elderly widows and widowers to have moved on past the tragic history they experienced is a great example of resilience. We have the details with Prince Manzi.
Kanisio Murigande and Tofir Kansaisa are some of the Intwaza elderly survivors in the Bugesera district. As many other Intwaza elderly widows and widowers across the country, they say that if they are not for how they are taken care of in their designated accommodations, they will not have passed over the sorrow resulting from the genocide against the Tutsi. They killed my child and my wife, and because of living alone, I had sorrow, but now it is all well. Can you even tell that I have 86 years old? I look young. The essentials given to the Intwaza include primary care and affection, as it is what most lack, but at the end of the day, they also get the time for work and leisure, as explained by Irene Nyamugabo, a caretaker.
They also have time for sports, and they are taken care of the same way they would be at home. They are able to weave, and it is not only handcrafts. They also clean their homes and support their cooks.
On Friday, deputies and senators in the Anti-Genocide Parliamentary Forum and the Rwanda Women Parliamentary Forum visited the Intwaza elderly widows and widowers in their Minganzima homes in Bugesera, Huye and Nyanza districts. The Speaker of the Rwanda Parliament, Honorable Donatille Mukabalisa, states that for the Intwaza elderly widows and widowers to have moved past the tragic history they went through is a great example of resilience.
You now have a country. We thank God. We thank the President of our country, and specifically, we thank Her Excellency, the First Lady, who initiated this Imhinganzima project. Parents, to have passed the worst you went through, strived for life and living well, and be happy, you are a great example of resilience and patience we have to learn from.
Currently, the 4 Minganzima hostels in the Bugesera, Huye, Nyanza and Rusizi districts host 225 Intwaza, 199 widows and 26 widowers. Prince Manzi, All TV News.
Now to climate matters. Researchers from all over Africa spent 4 days in Rwanda learning how to conduct research on meteorological services and how it could be involved, that is, in helping to reduce disasters and other impacts caused by climate change. We have the details with Jessica Gassaro.
The African Institute for Mathematics and Science has brought together practitioners in the field of climate science and researchers from this sector and agencies working on climate change. African countries are mostly at risk of the effect of climate change, including disasters, extreme heat, drought, poverty, and more, which is why Alima Dajuma, one of the participants in the conference, created a project to deal with some of the effects of climate change.
Extreme heat is going to affect the living condition of people on let's say the house which is built now are built without taking into account how the climate will change or how the climate will evolve. So there is a need to think of building energy efficient building for people to be able to live in such new, because these are new conditions. Somehow we can't just stop because the carbon dioxide is already emitted, is doing the effects we are feeling now. So it's just what you have to do is how to adapt on that condition. This is what my research showed regarding the living condition, but also when it is too hot, our research showed that these hot conditions are linked to some health problem, like people can develop fatigue, can develop heat cramps or heat collapse. This condition is going to affect even people who are outdoors workers. I mean, they stay on the sun, working on industries or constructions. This condition will make their work productivity to reduce.
It has been pointed out that many of the consequences of climate change are the lack of appropriate solution and the lack of sufficient information to be able to avoid the consequences of climate change, as explained by the Center President of the African Institute for Mathematics and Science in Rwanda, Dr. Samyala.
A lack of appropriate responses and also a lack of appropriate means regarding those hazards when they occur. And also in Africa, we have many agencies. So when we talk about climate, we have the national meteorological agencies. You know, all the research results that have been produced, we really need to pack them in a way where we can have a useful information that can be used by everyone. And the way we can pack them is what I think my colleagues here will talk more about that, the climate services that can be provided.
One of the conclusions reached in this meeting is to collect the result of all the research and to provide more information on climate change available in advance for the community.
Seeing that annex that is actually specifically working on environment and climate change performance indicators in the sector included. So the project has actually, as you have said, that is very much relevant to this workshop. We have a tripartite MOU. REMA has a tripartite MOU between REMA, University of Rwanda, and Higher Education Council, specifically to see the gap we are having in environment and climate change, how will they be solved through research. So the findings from that would actually, how would actually be narrowing to the level of reaching the local communities. How do we disseminate such information, or how is the research informing policymakers on how, if we need to update, say we need to update our strategy, our policies, our programs, so that we integrate that component of research findings.
The conference was themed Unlocking Climate Research for Climate Services, with a focus on climate change and sustainable development in Africa. Jessica Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
Now to technological matters. Airtel Rwanda, that is, has unveiled eSIM technology that enables its customers to use its network without the need for physical SIM cards in their phones. We have the details on that. The technology will first be used in smartphones and provides additional advantages in cases of things like theft.
Akamaro ka k'iyo service iyo umuntu afite telefone.
The advantage of such a service is that a person that has a phone with one SIM card can now use more than just one using our eSIM. Also, in cases of theft, it will be much easier to track down the stolen device. Plus, with people who like to travel abroad, we will be able to store more than 64 profiles on their eSIMs. So it doesn't matter where you are going, Uganda, Kenya or elsewhere, in more than 60 countries, your local SIM information will already be stored and ready to load, depending on which country you are in. The service also has friendly environmental implications.
So, eSIM service is actually related to the fact that in the next 5 years, the SIM cards that we sell will disappear completely. There is no more plastic, and it will become embedded in the phone itself. So you will not have even eSIM to insert, you will not have slot. You will just have to declare your number in your phone. Thanks to a digital process, you will have to flash a QR code in any available in any service center, and when you will flash this QR code, automatically all your profile will be loaded in your phone, including the number, and you can have up to 63 profile in one eSIM, and you can select the one you want. So one advantage, for example, if you travel, instead to buy a SIM card, you will flash a code in the country and automatically you will be allocated in a number of the operator you select. And then you can enjoy you will not have international roaming with the fees. You will just use the service with no any plastic, any introduction, and it will be as instant than to flash. So this is very interesting. It's also very good for the compliance. It will be really, if, for example, if your phone is stolen, no worries. Now people can steal your SIM, even if you have Airtel money, they can steal the money in your wallet. Now the eSIM will immediately deactivate your profile in the phone, so even the one who have stolen your phone cannot use it, and we can reload it in any phone. So it's as simple than to flash. So for now, this service is available mostly in the premium phone, iPhone, Galaxy, Techno. I will not name all the brand Itel, but it's more the high-end phone. But there is a prediction that in the next 5 years, every phone will be delivered with the eSIM service, and the SIM card will disappear. So we are very proud, especially in the smart city and the smart country, to bring this smart service, because this is really a smart service. This is a digital service, and we are very proud to announce this service and to be the first to introduce this in Rwanda.
Up until now, only physical SIM cards were being used in Rwanda. Now to economical matters. Rwanda's Capital Markets Authority has concluded its 10th annual competition geared towards encouraging students in the country's universities and secondary schools to engage in capital markets. We have more on that as well. Students who participated in the 10th edition of the Capital Market University Challenge shared with us some of the things they had learned. I learned about shares, bonds, and I am confident that I can now buy shares on the stock exchange and be able to get all the relevant information I need. I believe I can do that as a job and career also. The organizers of the challenge have noted that the students do indeed learn a lot from the competition, and this year saw most female competitors ever winning prizes. First of all, they leave with a lot of information after the competition ends, and we are seeing a growing number of youth participating in the stock exchange, and we believe young people will continue to play a bigger role in national development through the culture of saving in shares and bonds. We do follow up on them, and they return what they learn here, with the winners of shares continuing to invest their winnings. This 10th edition is special because of the big number of entries and the fact that more girls won prizes than boys. Some got scholarships while others got access to save in the Iterambere Fund. More than 1,000 university students participated in the Capital Market University Challenge, with 50 winners at the provincial level and 10 at the national one. As Rwanda continues 100 days of commemoration, the city of Kigali, for the 29th time, has remembered its employees of the then prefecture of Kigali who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, as a way of paying respect and honor to them, as well as fighting genocidal ideologies and ensuring a dispute-free country. The commemoration was commenced with a visit at the Kigali Memorial Center and the laying of wreaths on the graves of the victims of the 1994 genocide, as well as, and then testimonies were heard of some of the genocide survivors from the then prefecture of Kigali, which is now Kigali City, who recognized the role that was played by the Rwanda Patriotic Front Army soldiers that rescued them during the worst time of their life.
I managed to buy some bread for my children and kept it. My husband had organized a way for me to get a passport and flew with my kids, leaving him behind. Things got really ugly, and that is when I lost my husband. But I thank the Rwanda Patriotic Front soldiers that rescued us.
The mayor of Kigali City, Prudence Rubingisa, has stressed that it is the responsibility of everybody to remember as a way of building a country we all want moving into the future.
We
have come a long way, but there is still more to be done in order to fight against those that still demonstrate genocide denial through different ways, including technology and others.
It should be noted that the Tutsi who were remembered, that is the former employees of the prefecture of Kigali who were killed in 1994 during the genocide against the Tutsi, totaled 46 in all. So we've come to the end of the news. I am glad you are able to join us, but stay with Rwanda Television as the programs continue. Goodbye.